Property Care Association is the organisation that represents professional companies that install flood protection and flood resilience measures in existing buildings. And we've been saying for years that it's possible to fully protect properties even in the most risky spots. The properties that you're about to see today are an absolute demonstration of the capabilities of both the systems and the contractors that can deliver reliable flood resistance and resilience.
In 2007, we were victims of the summer storms, which caused a lot of disruption in southern England. And despite the fact that we hadn't had any flood event in the village in the previous 3 years when we lived here, we ended up with water in the house that was above welly depth. That caused a huge amount of disruption. We had one young child at the time, and my wife was already pregnant with our second. And we had to uplift all the furniture, we had to move that all out of the way as far as we could. And do everything we could to protect our property with things like instant set concrete, building a wall around the house if we could. The water first came into the property actually as groundwater, and so I knew I was beaten when I was keeping the water outside the house to a depth of about 8 inches, but it was coming up through the floor. And at the time, it was heart-rending. The place that we had made our home, it's a beautiful house, we felt was lost at the time. And the emotional trauma of going through all that just made us think, never again. We had to find some way to protect our property. We contacted the insurance company, as you do. They came out and brought loss adjusters out, and they could see that we were in need of some fairly big insurance claim, which ended up being about £70,000. And but what the insurance company, all they had to do was actually restore us back to the way the property was before the flooding, which to us made no sense at all, because actually that meant it would just flood again next time. We wanted something better than that. We contacted a flood consultant. It was a reasonable investment for us. We managed to divert some of the money that came from the insurance company through getting a cash settlement with them. But we were hoping that this money, although a significant capital investment, would be sort of essentially a waste of money, because we'd never need to use the flood protection system. In 2014, we did have to use the flood protection system. We flooded, the outside of the property flooded to a depth far in excess of what happened in 2007. And thankfully, inside the property, we remained completely dry. The carpets were down, the furniture was down, and we led, as far as is possible when you have 40 centimetres of water outside the house, we led a normal life. So we have a membrane in the walls. It extends to about 1 metre above the floor level. Underneath the floor, underneath the screed, is also another membrane, and the wall and floor membranes are connected by a base drain which travels around the outside of each room. This enables the water to percolate through the walls, thereby relieving the pressure on the outside of the property anyway. And then when the water hits the membrane, it's forced either down to the sump drain, to the base drain, or forced across to the base drain if it comes up through the floor, protecting us from surface and groundwater flooding. The base drains are connected to 2 dustbin-sized sumps, each of which contain 2 pumps, and these will kick in automatically and discharge water at about 1,700 litres a minute. We have a battery backup system for the pumps in case of electricity failure, and I have acquired 2 generators that will also work in the event that the batteries fail.
I installed the system because back in 2007 July, I just moved into my property here at 42 Manor Road, South Inksea. I'd been in the property since I moved in September, so I'd only been in about 6 months, and I flooded in July. And we flooded really badly, and I was just devastated. So I scoured the internet, was just really relieved and thought, wow, I need to install something to stop flooding again. So I decided to install something to stop flooding ever again. I've got 4 pumps, 2 at the side, 2 at the front, the lining right throughout the whole of my house, and I've got a generator that literally works the whole system, which keeps me completely and utterly dry throughout my house.
This flood protection system installed by PCA members has been tested to the limit, and it's shown to have worked absolutely faultlessly. Buildings that would previously have been flooded out are now dry, and there's no prospect of any incident now causing major damage to these properties. As the trade association that represents specialists in flood protection, we've been saying for decades that we can, with the right design and with the right thought, create flood resistance and resilient properties. The properties that we've seen in the village today have demonstrated that.